Well, hello there, everyone. Thanks for joining me. You are listening to Mary Maximus. I am an Australian industrial designer. I am so pleased to have your time today. I'm really looking forward to our webinar. It's 10 Principles of Design. Without further ado, we're going to kick off and we're going to start with our first principle. So the first one is more like a question, really. I always like to say, what is design? And a lot of people say, oh, it's something that looks beautiful. To make something look beautiful, to make something work, absolutely. To create an interesting product, a new space. For whatever reason you're in design, you have to kind of sit back and understand what is design and what is your place in design. How are you going to improve the quality of life through design? And how are you going to improve the world through design? So what is it that you do? Are you an architect? Are you an interior designer? Are you a product designer? Everything that you think or come up with, or anything that you touch, anything you create, eventually has an impact on people and the earth. So before you think about anything, think, what is design? I always tell people, design is a service. Okay, it's not an object, it's not a tangible product, it is a service. It's a facilitated process. And what I mean by that is that if somebody could do it themselves, they would. But they come to an expert, just like we go to a doctor to get diagnosed for an illness. We go to a designer to facilitate a problem-solving service. We have to make something, we want to create a service or create a design, create a space. It's a facilitated process that you facilitate for your customers. And by saying that, I always kind of think about these two quotes. They always jump out at me whenever I think about what is design and what my place is in design. I've designed lots of things. I've made appliances, I've designed toys, I've designed cars, I've designed furniture and lighting and kitchens and bathrooms and modular systems and modular housing. And to tell you the truth, these two quotes always jump out at me. Design isn't just about making things beautiful, it's also about making things work beautifully. Now, I'd have to agree with that, but then you've got Mr. Jobs down the bottom there. So design is not just what it looks like and feels like. Design is how it works. But I would probably add to that and say design is also how it dies and how it is born. You're responsible for the start and the end of that service, the life of the product. You are responsible. It's not good enough to say, well, I've just come up with the idea, it's someone else's problem. It's the engineer's problem, it's the builder's problem. You are responsible. You have to take responsibility for that, for the function and the form, materials you use and how you fabricate it. And we'll go through that in a little bit more detail later. And like I said, this webinar is not about how to teach you how to design. I am I totally understand that all of you, every single one of you is a professional. You have qualifications, you have been trained probably by some of the best colleges and training institutions in the world. I absolutely agree with that. But sometimes we miss the mark on, we teach people how to design, but we don't teach people what design really is and how it fits in the world and what it does. So it's really important that you understand that function and form is important, but also you're responsible for the birth and death of every single product and space. And in the end, you are responsible because I also want to say, design is about the customer, how you can solve the problem. It's not about you. And a lot of the time I always talk to designers and it makes me it's funny. It actually makes me laugh. I'm a designer. Have you ever heard that phrase? People always make fun of us. I'm a designer. I'm an arty-farty. Everyone makes fun. Everyone just hangs it on the designers, When I was growing up, choosing my profession, I was always good at drawing and always good at art, okay? I always thought that I wasn't smart enough to become a doctor, and culturally that's what I was expected to be, something in the medical profession or something in, something in that realm. And when I chose to become an industrial designer, it was immediately assumed, oh, she's dumb, she's just a designer. But if you think about it, design is one of the jobs that a robot cannot replace. So I would have to say that all of us here are probably the cleverest people in the world because we're doing something that a robot can't replace. And you can see that technology is catching up with us quite quickly, and that sooner rather than later, a lot of professions are going to be replaced by a robot. But the most important thing that you need to know about design is that it is not about you. You need to remove yourself from that, I guess, emotionally, and only do it professionally. What I mean by that is that if you don't like a colour, if you don't like a texture, if you don't like a material personally, and your customer does, it's not really it's not about you. You know, this is their space, their home, their office, their whatever. You have to remove yourself. And unfortunately, I had a situation where I was teaching one day, and I had a young man who was teaching design for disability, and everybody had to design a space for a child with autism or someone who was in a wheelchair. And he said, no, I'm not going to do that because I don't need to design for people like that because I'm not going to have customers like that. And I thought to myself, that's such an arrogant perception, it's an arrogant view. And if you have that view as a designer, you're probably not going to last very long because design is about other people. You're facilitating a process, a problem-solving process for someone other than yourself. And that person might be in a wheelchair. That person might be, they might have an illness. They might have a mental illness. They might have a physical illness. They might have something that, is not classified as normal. And you have to design a product or a space for them to improve their quality of life, not your own. And I guess that's what I want people to take away from this principle, is that it's not about you, and you need to do everything you can to make sure that that person is happy and healthy, and you'll improve their quality of life and also their mental health as well, because that's so important. As designers, we are responsible for their mental health as well, because the space can impact that so much. Now, I'm going to move on to the next principle for you. Now, you've all heard it, design strategy. People bang on about it over and over. Oh, we're just flooded with it on the internet, on LinkedIn, on Facebook. We are always told about all these new acronyms and these really cool words, and they mean fancy things. I always kind of used to think, well, I'll try it out, see how it goes. I like design thinking personally because it works well. It's laid out very, very clearly. And I like how the first step is empathize. And empathize, I'm not going to, like I said, I'm not going to teach you all about this because, you've already done this, I'm sure. But it's interesting how we kind of glaze over this first step when it is the most important. First step will set up the next few steps. And, a lot of the strategies out there have this understanding the problem step at the start. Because if you don't understand the problem, how are you going to solve it, ladies and gentlemen? How are you going to solve it? I always ask that to some of my students to think, we've got a problem, identify the problem, you empathise, say, okay, what's clearly wrong in this situation or this product or this space? How are we going to fix it? And a lot of the time they kind of look blankly at me, they pick up their phone and start Googling. Okay, yep, research is good. Research is amazing, but we have to talk to the person involved. Part of this problem solving is the person, you and them, face-to-face or over the phone or however you communicate with your clients, and you need to understand, how can I help you? What is it that what's your problem? What is the issue here? What do you want me to fix? Okay? And until you understand to the full extent of their problem, how are you going to fix it? I had a lady once who I was designing a kitchen for, using, of course, 2020. And I have to say, it was quite interesting. She had all these quotes, and quotes in Australia, they can be very long-winded, and they're 3 to 4 hours. And for some reason, people say, I need 3 to 4 quotes, and I just think it's a very long-winded process, quite frankly. I think you should go ahead with the person you like, the price is right, the materials are right, and the company is right. But regardless, I was the third person to come in. She's already spent, 8 to 12 hours with other people. And I was watching her, and she said to me, would you like a cup of tea? And I said, yes. Oh, yes. Actually, I love coffee. I'm a coffee drinker. Bit of a coffee snob in Melbourne. That's how we roll. So I said to her, yes, of course. Now, there's a method to my madness, so hang on with me. this is part of my empathize. This is part of my understanding the problem. I asked her, what don't you like about my kitchen? And she said, oh, I don't like the bench space. I don't have enough. And I don't have like the storage. And she identified things that is being kind of preempted for her. People, like that's what everybody said. But I needed to know what her problem was. What is the reason why she needed that space to change? Because it looked fine. There's nothing wrong with the kitchen, quite frankly. I hate putting things into landfill if I don't have to. But she said, okay, she told off, and I watched her make. I said, oh, firstly, I told her, I don't like to drink alone. I have to drink, wine and coffee can't be drunk alone. Has to have a partner in crime. So she has to then make 2 cups of coffee. So she's standing there, around the kitchen, and she's making her coffee and tea, and she's like, have you ever seen chickens? Guys, can you imagine chickens? They're kind of just all over the place. There's no order. They're just kind of pecking around and running around. That's what she reminded me of. She went from the kettle to another section where the drawers were, and then she walked all the way across the kitchen to the cup, and then all the way over to the pantry to get the coffee, and then she went all the way to the sink to fill up the kettle, and she was all over the joint. I'm thinking the layout of this kitchen is her problem. But then she killed me because she was walking around like a chicken, and she was asking me for more bench space and more storage. And I just said to her, when she brought me the coffee over, I said to her, I was counting your steps, and you've done like maybe 200 steps in like 3 minutes. Like, what are you doing? So what do you mean? I said, well, firstly, you went here to there, to there, to there, to there to make 2 cups of coffee. Is that something that you're happy about? No, I hate that. No, I hate how my drawers are over here, and I hate how my sink is over there. Oh, no, now I have the real problem. And now I can design effectively and solve the problem and have more chances of her buying my kitchen. So it's just very relative. You have to set it up properly. You can't just kind of go in there and assume, I can do it. I'm a designer. I've done this before. I know how to fix this. Let's go. Let's start talking about colours. Oh, my Lord. Designers everywhere. The one way to get the iris with me is how do you start a conversation about design? Oh, what colours do you like? Oh, wow. No. That is irrelevant right now. You need to understand problem, and that's why strategies are so important. Now, regardless if you use design thinking or something else, you need to have a process that you have in place to work effectively, to understand the problem, to design effectively, and then to deliver a solution effectively. You personally can't be running around like a chicken trying to figure out, oh, this person, what are they on about? I'm the designer. I've got a HEC set. I've gone to college, and I know what I'm doing. This person, what an idiot. They don't want to listen to me. I think actually there's only one idiot in that conversation. It's probably when you look in the mirror. It's very important, and that's what I said about before. It's not about you. So design strategy is so important for you. Effective in business, banking, use design thinking strategies. Excuse me, automotive, like all of the finance, like all these different other sectors of the world, other jobs, they do this. They use our design thinking strategies in their business to make it more efficient. But designers don't, And in that, it's so important. But I would always add, before you start, thinking how implementing at the end, I would always add, how does it die? What happens to this space when this space is done and dusted? And these materials are going to be ripped out. They're going to go to landfill. Can they be recycled? Can it be reborn? Can it be repurposed? Like I said, we are all responsible for what goes and gets buried into the ground again. And it's not good enough for us to say it's the next generation's problem. That's not fair. Because we're blaming the previous generation for doing that to us. So probably be mindful about that. Now, very important. Number 3. All right, this is my favorite. Excuse me while I put on a special voice for it. Shut up and listen. I know I should have been an entertainer at some point in my life, but look, I love design too much. Now, number 3, so important. Shut up and listen. Sometimes, and not me, because I'm speaking to you, all of you lovely people today, so I can't do that now. But you know what I mean? Sometimes you're in a conversation with designers and you think they're telling you about a customer, or you're listening to them talking to their customer, and they're blah, 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 bang, 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 me. It's like, just take a breath, honey, or mate, seriously, stop. Do you want the service or does the other person? I mean, they know that you're fantastic. They've called you. They've looked you up online. People are very savvy. Don't underestimate your customer. They have read everything about you before they have come and met you. They know what you like on Facebook. They have seen your LinkedIn. They know the background. So, and it's hard to hide these days. Everyone is everywhere. If you can find anything out these days, but they know how great you are. That you're face to face. They've called you for a reason. They know. You know what? This person can help me. Now tell me how you can solve my problem. They don't want to hear you tell them about how fantastic you are, how you think this space could do. It's just shush. Look, stop. Ask relevant questions. You've got to gather information, and that information is your tools. It's like your artillery. You need the information to be able to solve the problem. I mean, this is what I'm saying. I'm not teaching you how to design, guys. This is, again, not my job. Okay, you've all been taught and you are all very, very, very good at what you do. What I'm trying to do is just give you a little bit of insight as to the little things that I've come across from people that, they don't have effective businesses or can't run efficiently, or they give up on design because, far out, people are stupid. Just they don't listen. They don't listen to me. No, because you're not listening to them. You need to pause. You need to ask relevant questions. You need to have a conversation. Conversation is two-way street, yeah? It doesn't work if one person just blah, blah, blah and banging on about how great they are. Dude, calm down. Stop and listen. And I think if shut up and listen is too much, so I apologise if I've offended anyone. Stop and listen. Just pause. Ask them. Look them in the eyes. Give them your full attention. Don't look at your phone. Don't be preoccupied with what's happening over there or look at that or, I see someone I know and wave. Look at them, listen to them, talk to them because they will appreciate it. And after you solve their problem, do you know that customer? I always think of that quote, they forget what you say, but they always remember how you make them feel. And that person, that one customer is like a little advertisement walking around. And you unconsciously, like unknowingly, that person is plugging you to everyone they know. Oh, this person, they helped me. They really listened. They really were understanding. They really delivered. They really were listening and they wanted to help me. It's very important. Listen. You will find out so much more if you watch people. I love watching people. As you can hear, I can talk a leg off a chair. Like I can bang on for hours. And lucky you've only got an hour with me, because but people will tell you exactly what you need to know if you watch them. The mannerisms, how they say things, how they emphasize on certain points. Those are the things that they want solved. You've got to watch them and listen and give them your time, but your full time. And part of shut up and listen is like, making your words count. Guys, it's so important. Like I said, blah, 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 me. It's irrelevant. If you've only got 20 minutes with someone, half an hour, make it count. Make those words count. Because your time, and I appreciate your time, you appreciate my time, everyone's time is so valuable because you can't get it back. Now, as this little funny graphic is, sometimes when you're talking to someone, if your words don't count, that your person is not listening to you. They're just thinking about what they're having for dinner and, I've got to put some money in the parking meter. So make your time with them in your consultation count. Okay, moving on. Number 4, know your stuff. Basically, be prepared. Now, I want to stress, ladies and gentlemen, please, if you can just do anything for me. Before you open your mouth and start talking about a product or a service or something that's going to solve a problem, know what it is. Know how it's made. So important. Like, for example, in the kitchen industry, you have so many materials. Interior design industry, sorry. There is soft furnishings. There is hard materials. There is building materials. There is so much stuff. And you will not know it all. I personally am a sample hoarder. And I love a sample tool too. But I love the idea of holding it, making a memory, understanding what it's made from, how it is going to affect the environment when it's going to be when it's thrown. What happens to the excess materials? How much does it cost per sheet or per slab or per linear metre or per square metre or per cubic metre? Yes, ladies and gentlemen, we need to know maths. I know designers everywhere are probably thinking, oh, holy hell, no way. That's not why I signed up for design. Look, I wasn't the best at mathematics at school, but it's important to know at least those things. You need to know your stuff, and that includes quantity. Because if you are running a business, guys, money, how much money do you want to lose? You need to design effectively. And very important point I want to make. Designers, know your sheet sizes, know your material quantities, because when you design your space, you can design so effectively if you understand how to optimize materials. And you will be a hero of the world because you, my friend, will stop landfills. Yes, that's right, you can. Because if we understand that, guys, we can stop it. You know, we can stop all this building material. Tons of it gets thrown and buried into the ground. Reconstituted stone, you know, plasterboards, laminates, melamines. Gosh, it goes on. The list goes on. I can't stress enough. That stuff, is it biodegradable? Probably not. Maybe in a million years when we're all gone. That's not fair. We have to understand that natural things come out of the earth and natural things go back into the earth. They don't affect the earth. But when things that are not natural are being put into the earth, what happens? You know, there's a reason why all these carcinogenic items, there's a reason why there's so many allergies in the world now. Australia, schools, everywhere. There's people are different. Humans that we have evolved. You know, this is the reason why, because there's so much in the atmosphere and the air. And I'm not saying it's all our fault. Please don't get me wrong. It's not our fault. But we are participating. And so if you know how to design effectively, the best thing for you to do is, before you start waving your hands around saying, oh, I think this colour would be fantastic over here in this stone. Oh, it would be lovely over there. Before you open your mouth, you're going to start giving obscure sizes and say, oh, I just want it 457 millimetres wide. And I apologise for any of the American or anyone using imperial measurements. We do millimetres in Australia, not inches, but you can figure it out. I want a very obscure size. Well, what's going to happen to the rest of that slab? So think about your material. Know your stuff. It's so important, because if you're going to talk the talk and walk the walk, you know what I mean? Now, I want to just go through this slide. It's very important. So knowing your products and knowing what they're made from and how they are used, I want to just ask all of you just to take a moment and think about, do you honestly now in your business know enough about your product that you could stand up in a room in front of 100 people and talk about the material? So be honest with yourself. You need to just think about that. Am I confident enough to stand up and talk about it? Because if you don't know enough about it, then you probably shouldn't be telling anything to anyone else about it. I'm showing you this image because a few years ago in Milan, in Design Week, there's a reconstituted stone company who employ the services of a very, very large or amazing design company somewhere in the world, usually in Europe or America. And in this particular year, the company fabricated the stone or designed a kitchen. And this big, long, beautiful bench, this beautiful, beautiful palatial room almost, was the new range that they had. Now, I'm showing you this because this is a rigid material. This is a very brittle surface, something that usually would be used horizontally on a bench top or vertically as a splashback or in the bathroom as a tile. They fabricated it in stone, pushed the boundaries. They've cut it curves into it. They've cut circle shapes into it to drop bowls in it and have breadsticks protruding from the bench. And they've created this beautiful image of what a kitchen. This is another type of kitchen because they're pushing the boundaries of design, and that's what design is. We're just pushing and pushing, and we're still, all of us are scratching the surface. We never stop learning, but this just shows you that you don't only have to use material in that way. And when you are thinking of doing something new with a material, I mean, I work as an industrial designer, so I love material. I try to fabricate new things all the time from products that are being developed. But in this instance, they push the boundaries, the joins, how things are joined, how we could cut the stone, how we can, fit it in a space. And I thought I'd probably show you this one because it's so relevant to know your stuff, but you know enough about it. But then if you want to push the boundaries, and if you're lucky enough in your business and you have some of those clients that, do allow you to get a little bit crazy and a little bit creative, because they're not all very common, I would always say, get to know your reps from those businesses. Ask them, can you do this with the product? Let's test it. Can I test this? And testing. We just test it. We just don't assume, say, yeah, it should be right, but it's someone else's problem to figure out. No, you test it. Get someone to cut it up. Get someone to join it. Get someone to whatever you're thinking about, test it. Because that's how we evolve. That's how you evolve and you become a leader in your industry. And then your customers look up to you. Other designers look up to you. You become another idol because we need them. We're all designers. We should be working together. We all, have these favourite designers all over the world. The difference between us and them is that they know their stuff and they're pushing the boundaries of material, products, and just ideas. Yeah? Okay. I also just want to make a quick point about knowing this stuff is just not to go overboard when you're explaining to your customer. Yeah? Again, make your words count. Be very mindful that this person is not from our world because we live in a very fluffy planet called design land. With everything is colourful, and at the moment it's ultraviolet colour, I think it's the colour this year. But regardless, be mindful. Just analyse this client, analyse the situation. Are they going to be able to, stomach all of this barrage of information, or do I need to give them a little bit, or even just simplify? I don't like saying dumb down because I don't think that that's right to say that. I think just simplify because they're not from our world. So, reconstituted stone. They look at you blankly and go, what the heck is that? Well, it's man-made stone. It's not the natural stuff that comes out of a quarry, but we make it in a factory. Simple. Yeah? Difference in price, well, you pay for the colour. Yeah, so just be very mindful. Now also, my last point for this one is so close to my heart. I've been to a lot of places, I've spoken in a lot of countries, I've worked in a lot of countries, I've designed for so many different types of people. And designers everywhere, you cease to amaze me. I'm not saying you guys because you were awesome, but in general, have you ever met someone in a conversation? I'm sure everyone's had a situation like that in their workplace or just in general conversation saying, oh, this particular culture, isn't it weird how they do this? This particular person, this religion or whatever, isn't it weird how they do that? Well, it might be weird to you, but to them it's totally normal. And we should be able to learn and understand and to respect that. So as designers, if you think, oh, I'm a designer, I'm only employed and there to make things look pretty and to make them functional, yes, I would agree. But it's also your job to understand the world. For example, I'm going to talk in kitchens because it's a bit relevant more to this point I'm trying to make. Kitchens, we all use a kitchen. We use it the same way, except some of the things that we require in there are different. Like, for example, if we need a kosher kitchen, we need usually 2 appliances, 2 of everything, yeah? If we like feng shui, if we follow that, then we can't have fire and water that are the opposite to each other. So I think it's your responsibility not to make assumptions. So when you have a client that, for example, might be Indian or Asian or whatever, to go, oh, yeah, I know all about that. Yeah, I've Googled it. Yeah, Wikipedia is not probably the best source of information. I would probably say ask when you're there, but you in the background, fill up your brain with knowledge. So instead of sitting on your phone, designers, watching goat videos, cat videos, I would probably say fill your brain and fill your time with something beneficial. Read about cultures, read about what different parts of the world, how they do their space, how they design their space, what materials are they more accustomed to or keen to. Why do they like natural stone versus reconstituted? Why they like fire in your cooktop, gas cooktop, rather than an induction cooktop? There's differences, and some cultures will not touch your induction. So why the heck are you trying to sell them one? Come on. I mean, you're not going to change them. This is part of their culture. It's part of their genetic makeup. I need fire. I need gas. I need to cook on the fire. I don't care about your new technology. You know, it's great. I'm very impressed. It's wonderful, but I need the fire. Okay? But the designer's banging on about how, oh, no, Mrs. Jones, no, you don't understand. This induction is the latest trend. It's the latest technology. If you want to resell your house, you have to have one. It's like, dude, don't assume they want to resell their house. They like their house. They want to stay there. You know, just don't make assumptions. Never assume that you understand. You know, never assume that just because somebody is Asian, they are into feng shui. Never assume just because someone is from Africa that they are Muslim. You know, it's just being silly, and I think it's just being a well-rounded human and understanding that your job is to facilitate a process, so you have to ask relevant questions. For example, is there any eating requirements? Like, is there any particular way that you cook, or what do you cook? How do you cook? Is there a particular appliance that you require for your cooking, Mrs. Jones or Mrs. Singh or Gupta or whatever? Be mindful of your words, yeah? And you will definitely be more successful in your business. I can tell you that for sure. Now, this one is very close, all close to my heart. Trade show junkie. Hands up. Who's a trade show junkie? You can just hypothetically give me a hands up, but that's okay. What I'm trying to say, guys, is, hey, look, hands up. Hey, thank you very much. You made my day. Look, I have to say, this is awesome. You all need to go to a trade show, whether it is in America, US, like North America, or in Europe, or in Asia, or wherever you want to go. They have some of the best displays. They have some of the latest technology. And I'm not plugging one above the other. All I'm saying is that, unlike myself, as you can see in the slide, I love making a memory, and I just have to touch things. And people think I'm a little bit strange. But for me, I just think, oh, wow, this is beautiful. I can really use this. You know, I have a customer who is really looking forward to this, or I know something that someone else who would love this. But more so, I know students who just love this, because when I tell them about it, when I teach them about it, you know, they're going to enjoy this. Now, Trade Show Junkie is one of these things that I've been putting through for the last few years. It's a trade show tour that I take people over, but it's really just through like a live stream. But you can get in contact with me if you want. You can email me. Everyone is more than welcome to email me some more information. But you can be there, but not physically, because the costs involved are quite astronomical. But if you do go in a group, it does lower the cost. So, but I'm really encouraging you all. This experience changes your perception on design. What you think you were taught, what you think you know, dies. Like, it just becomes so inferior to what you see. Now, what I mean by that is the way they manufacture. You have to go on a factory tour. You know, follow the people to a factory tour. Go and see how things are made. The factories are amazing. The processes are amazing. The spaces that they design, the construction methodology. After this photo was taken, I literally was sitting inside the cupboard having a look at how they put it together. Be interested in how things fit together, guys. Your job doesn't end on how it looks. Yep, this is pretty. My job is done. It works. Yep, everything's in the right spot. See you later. Get paid. Adios. No, your job is also, how am I get put together? Is there a clever way? Is there a new way? Can you come up with a new way? That's what designing is. Keep pushing, keep learning, keep improving, keep evolving. And trade shows help you do that. You know, this experience, like, it stays with you, and it elevates you, and it just makes you so excited to come home and just be a better designer, provide a better service, have better ideas, provide better solutions to your customer. Because in the end, it's all about them. Remember, it's not about you. You improve yourself for their benefit, yeah? So please, go to a trade show. It's very, very important. Number 6, quote art people. So important. Now, what I mean by that is that we sometimes in design, like, this rule is sort of halfway point. In design, have you ever felt deflated? Have you ever felt, God, I just can't win? Have you ever felt, why didn't I just get that job? Why doesn't these people want to buy from me? Why can't I figure out this space or this problem? Well, you need some inspiration, and you've got your phones. Everybody has it strapped to their body like it's a breathing device. Quote yourself up. What I mean by that, come up with your own. Be inspiring to yourself and to others. If you can't find a hero, be your own, guys. In design, we have so many. We're spoiled for choice. Like, I have so many people that I look up to. I don't know them personally, but I think, wow, you know, I don't want to be them because they've had their own journey and they've been successful, and I think that's amazing. And I just think, you know, sending them good energy elevates them more. But I want to use their journey as inspiration for my own, because I know that if you be optimistic and keep too positive, in this industry, things can bring you down so easily. It's so easy to become deflated, and it's so easy to pick yourself up again, you know. Coco Chanel, for example, before you leave the house, look in the mirror and take one thing off. I use that in design. I have a space. I've crammed it all with these beautiful objects and all these things, and then I think, okay, I need to take something out. I need to take something off, okay? So be a bit fun. Just have a little bit of fun. Design can be very isolating. Sometimes you can be very alone. You and your computer after you've seen your customer. It's just you and your computer and Google and Siri sometimes. But it's really important. Like, Leonardo da Vinci is my all-time. He's just and he's not around, you know, and I would have loved to have had a conversation with this man. You know, poor is a pupil who does not surpass his master. For me, that it speaks volumes. You know, we've all been taught by someone. We've all been mentored by someone. But why do you want to just limit yourself and just be like them? Why don't you want to be better? You want to surpass them. You know, that's how everything evolves and improves. If we all just get to that limit of your master, then everyone will just get to that limit and stop. You need to continue. The next one is simplicity is the ultimate sophistication. I love this one because I use it as a rule. So these quotes are almost like these little kind of tiny ethos or mantras that I have in my own business. Simplicity is the ultimate sophistication, guys. What do I mean by that? Well, it will mean different things to everyone. But for me, keep it simple. Just keep it simple. Don't complicate things, and it will be perfect. It will be amazing. You know, it's not about being sophisticated, being, you know, cocky and you're better than everyone, but it does. Like, the luxury spaces usually are very minimalist, smooth surfaces, long lines, you know, clean, you know, crisp lines. You know, they've used the elements and principles, and that's another thing you need to understand that, like, you know, with like your back of your hand. But just keep it simple, you know. Don't try to overcomplicate things, you know. And if you don't understand something, find out. Get to the solutions you're seeking. This is very important, guys. Keep your promises. As designers, I know that sometimes things can get tough, and you want the job or you want that client so desperately that you'll say yes and think about it later. And I know that's a quote by a very famous person, but sometimes it can come back and bite you in the behind. Don't promise what you can't keep. You need to keep your promises. If you can't deliver, then it is okay to say no. If you cannot deliver, then you should not commit, because that customer will respect you more, and more likely or not, they will actually cling on to you. Because customers, believe it or not, they like it when you say no, because, hang on, this person doesn't agree with me. Maybe I should listen to them because they know better. And that respect shifts in hierarchy, where they think they're in charge and that you're in charge. And that's very important for you to know. The promises, if you know, for example, if there is particular material, say for example a bench, and it's not fabricated in longer than 3,000 millimeters, 3 meters. Why are you saying yes? Oh, and will there be a joint? And you say, no joint, no problem, I'll take care of it. What are you doing? Why? When it just gets on site and it's installed and the customer is watching this bench top being joined up, what do you think they're going to do? They're going to call you, abuse you, and then say every bad thing in the world about you, and then probably go online and tell everybody that listens. Don't fake it. You can't fake it till you make it in this industry. You need to know your stuff. And then if you try to do that, you will probably not exist for very long. And you probably do everyone else a favour because you pick up your customers. It's so important. Just keep your promises. You don't need every single customer, all right? All right. Very important ones. They're all very important. I think I've said that everyone. Never stop learning, guys. Always keep learning and upskilling. Upskilling. So we have had all of us gone to college or university or TAFE or whatever we've done to get our qualifications. Upskilling doesn't mean watching renovation shows, guys. I'm sorry. That's just not something that I'm going to condone. No, it doesn't mean that. It means go and learn something new. Like, for example, just recently I went and did a course about customer experience and user experience, and I thought, oh, this is very interesting. I thought I can apply some of these things to my own business and to my own way of doing, my job. Upskilling, go and do a multimedia course, go and do a business course, go and do something to improve you. So you will improve your business, and your business will help more people, and it will just keep churning like a well-oiled machine. But the best attitude I've ever come across is someone who says, yeah, I'm just scratching the surface. I don't know everything about design. No one does. Not even Leonardo da Vinci knew everything about design. I'm sure he just wants to keep learning if he's still alive. Now, you just need to have that same ethic. You can't not stop learning. And by doing that, I think the next principle is about technology. And I want to play you a video, guys, in a moment. Now, if you have your speakers really loud, it's probably going to be very loud. So maybe just turn it down whilst you watch this video, and then I'll see you on the other side of the video. So very, very simply, turn down your volume for the moment. Thanks, guys, for listening to that. You can turn up your speakers now. So as I was saying, embrace technology. That video is so important for you to watch, and you can replay it. I'm sure that we can send you the link to that video. But embracing technology is one of those things. Now, I know we're here because we're proudly being hosted and supported by 2020 today. Now, I have had dealings with 2020 for a long time. I keep bumping into Mr. Jason everywhere around the world. But I have to say, every experience is very pleasant because I'm always, inspired by new things. Just recently in India, he showed me the HoloLens, and I put this thing on my head, and I was watching and looking inside of a kitchen. And everywhere I turned, I was in a kitchen. I was very excited. But what I'm trying to say is that, you need to embrace technology. So technology won't replace teachers, but teachers who use technology will probably replace teachers who don't. Now, that means the same thing for design. Designers who don't use technology, what are you doing? I mean, I know that this might sound very pretentious and, oh, she's just this millennial or whatever. In the end of the day, technology is evolving. I mean, we're all sitting here on a webinar together. So we've all embraced technology already. We're all sitting here in front of a screen, or we've got a phone, or we've got headsets on, so we've all embraced technology. Why don't we push that further and have it in our business? And people now expect us to have some form of technology. And what I mean by that is expect us to use some form of drawing program, some form of communication tool. Now, part of that is that why wouldn't you use 2020? If you think about, ask yourself, what are you looking in a program? And I'm not trying to sell this to you because I'm already sold. I love this program. I don't need to bang on about it. Anyone who asks me, the first thing I say. But I have to say, if you ask yourself the question, what am I looking in a company to provide me a software program to help me in my business? Ask yourself that. Do I want the service involved? Do I want to have the support? Do I want to have the knowledgeable people behind the scenes? Do I want to be at the cutting edge? Do I want to have access to all the materials that I use in my business now? You know, the worst thing is that when I'm drawing, you know, using other programs, and people say, oh, can you make that door look like that color I chose? And I say, I can't because the computer program doesn't have the color. Oh, it sounds like fool. It just doesn't, like, what are you here for? You're here to communicate the design intent for me because I can't do it myself, you know, and I want to see what I get before I purchase. You know, it's only natural. Would you agree with that? Hands up who would agree with that. Anyone? That this communication tool, you know, hands up anyone else? I only see people who agree with me. All right. But look, you need to be able to communicate. And this tool really does. It pushes the boundaries. You can have virtual reality tools. You can immerse someone in their space and show them around like they were there. And they haven't made a thing. You haven't wasted any materials. You haven't cut any product. You haven't, you know, think about it. There's logistics. You haven't called the supplier, all the effort involved. Called the supplier. Supplier puts it in a truck. Truck goes to the factory. Factory has to cut it. It has to deliver, has to install, blah, blah, blah. Before you do all of that, and then the customer says, oh, no, wrong color. Nah, wrong size. Oh, no, I'm not happy with the size of that island. No, don't like that lighting there. Rip it out, start again. It's not what I paid for. Anyone else had that experience? I've heard it many times. You can get away with that. These programs have been, like all those people that do all the software, you know, all that stuff, you know, much more intelligent than me, figure all this stuff out for us. They have this is a tool, this is a goal for us. You know, investment made, done, but the return on investment is huge. So I really would encourage you to think about implementing 2020 in your businesses today if you haven't done so already. Reason being, you know, your customers are worth more, and this is, you know, they deserve it. And without further ado, I just want to add here, do it with passion, guys, or not at all. Design with passion. Take on each project as if it was your own. I have this ethos and this mantra that if I'm not going to live in this space, if I'm not going to use that object, if I'm not going to sit on that chair or eat at that table, then I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to make it. If it's not good enough for me and my family, then I don't think anyone else should have to have that burden. So if you have that ideal in your head, I know it's all about money, and you probably think, oh, she's too warm and fuzzy, and, you know, it's not about, you know, sitting around a campfire and singing Kumbaya. It's about making money, Mary. I agree. But wouldn't you agree if you make money, things work, people are happy, people will give you good reviews, people will pay their invoice if they're happy, people will give you return business. And repeat business is so good because it's not a hard sell. So easy after that because they know you. They know they can trust you. They know that you believe them, and they believe you. You know that you are frank with them. You know they know that, you know, when they call, if there is a problem even, you will answer the phone call or get back to them promptly, and you keep your promises, and you design ethically, and you design optimizing materials, and you do all those things that we talked about already. And the other one, I had to sneak this one in, guys, because it's very, very important. It's probably the most important. So if you don't take anything away from what I spoke about today, take this one away. Value your time. Time is more valuable than anything in the world. More valuable than money or Bitcoin or whatever. Because you can't buy it and you cannot get it back. So important. So make your words count. Make your time count. Make you count. Your time count, you know. This free, I offer free measuring quotes. Yes, you do. But we all know that isn't generally fair. It's usually factored in somewhere along the line. So no one's really out of pocket. But still, that time, you can't get it back. And use your time effectively. Get the problem. Find out what the problem is. That's what I'm saying. Time. Spend the time to find out the problem. Spend your time to solve the problem. Spend your time to source the right product. Spend your time to design using the right program, because that will cut your time, guys, in half or then some. You know, 2020 is so easy to use, and it's so many YouTube clips and so much support. You then, you know, you evolve into this business owner. You know, you're not, you know, everyone says, I'm just a designer. I'm just a designer. It frustrates me, because I'm just a designer means I'm just something irrelevant. But you are the most important step in the process. You are the start. You solve the problem. Your hands and your presence in that person's life at the start. You know, for example, if you're an interior designer or interior architect, you're designing a space, I'm just the designer. But the builder will build it and install it. But the builder, hang on, builder's just taking off your glory. No offense, I love builders, but they're not the designer. They facilitate a process as well. They build the house of plans that you provide. They build the space of plans that you designed and developed. So your time is important. You are important, and that if you value yourself and your time, and you use all these tools and you see that we spoke about, and especially the program, then you will be a better designer for it. So I'm thanking you so much, guys. You guys have been amazing. Although we haven't had a face-to-face conversation, I would love to, you know, one day, you know, be connected to you. You can contact me on LinkedIn. You can get in touch on Instagram and all of the links there. It's been my absolute pleasure. And we've got a little bit of time now. So if anyone's got any questions, I'm more than happy to answer them. I can leave this on the screen for a moment, but you can have an email with all of my contact information if need be. But I would definitely encourage you to visit your 2020 website and speak to your representatives in your country. So if anyone has any questions, yeah, thank you very much. Again, I hope we can you know, meet again in this, you know, weird wide world of web and webinars.